Good evening. It's 7 p.m. This is going to be an odd announcement, but this is the April 2024 Alcohol Beverage Control and Public Safety Committee meeting for ANC1C. Normal chairperson Jake Koskini is unable to be here tonight. We don't have really much of an agenda, and I don't think that anyone from MPD's third district is here. I don't have any contact information for them. I know they've switched people, so we might have anything to discuss, but we will be on the same link for a special meeting of the full commission starting at 7:30. So I guess we'll wait a second just to see if someone from MPD shows up. But if not, there's also four, four liquor license rules that we received. This is the same process as last year, but a different type of liquor licenses. So these are essentially liquor stores, no on-premise consumption. The way that, just as a reminder, the way that those renewals work is if a commission or other, if a commission does not have any reason to protest, there's no really neat reason for any action, which is my view on these. I have no issue with any of them. I haven't been informed of any problems. I don't know if you've heard anything, Commissioner. Well, that does it.
No, I'm sorry. No, I have not heard. There are four liquor stores, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, or whatever we want to call them. No, I have not had any response to any problems.
One of them is in my SMD. They've been a pretty good neighbor. There's very little reason to interact with liquor stores as a commissioner. So the times have been when they were broken into, which of course is not good, and just seeing if they're all right. And also, they were one of the first people they helped get Green Zone when they were looking to get a streetery in place. They needed the neighbors to agree to use the shared space in front, and they were totally about it. So that's my extent of official.
Oh no, the guy you're talking about, the guy at the alley, right?
Bottle shop, yeah, exactly.
Bottle shop. He works it himself. The owner works there himself all the time. Very nice, expensive, but very, very nice, and seems a very good establishment.
Agreed. So yeah, nothing for that. I have a feeling that MPD won't be here. I would have sent them a message, but they've had personnel change for who comes, so I'm not even sure who the right person to write would be. And I'm not sure if Jake got to do a last minute reminder, because I think last month she asked for getting a last minute reminder. I'm not sure if that happened, and I am not able to do so because I don't know her email address.
Last month she did it from her car.
Yeah, so maybe we'll just have to get a couple months worth. Oh wait. Oh, I spoke too soon. We got him. Captain is here. We'll wait for promotion, and we'll have a few more words. Good evening, Captain Lockerman. Glad to have you here.
Good evening. How are you?
Doing all right.
I'm
How
sorry.
are you?
I'm not working. I'm actually at the beauty salon at a hair appointment, but I'm prepared to do the meeting. So that's why I didn't turn on my camera unless you
That's
want
all
to
right.
see me. If you want to,
Yeah,
I will.
really appreciate it. I mean, you can be as brief as you want. Don't mean to take too much of your free time, but I appreciate your presence
Okay,
here.
no problem. I did want to share some information with you all. Are you ready?
We are.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so far we have an overall crime reduction in the base, definitely in the last 30 days, in the last 30 to 60 days, and in the first quarter of the year. The only thing that we are up in the last 30 days would be robberies. We've had about 5 robberies. Just recently, we had robbery suppression units deployed to the Adams Morgan area over the last weekend. I will see. That comes from downtown based on what the statisticians come up with on how they deploy the overtime units around the city. I'm not quite sure if they're going to be deployed there this weekend, but I will say that we've already increased patrols. Recently, we had an assault at the 7-Eleven at 17th and Columbia Road. Within about 24 hours, the person was captured. It was a pretty bad assault. It was an aggravated assault. We're thankful that the gentleman did not die. He was an employee of 7-Eleven. And it appears that it was some homeless person. I don't even know if it was, what provoked the attack. But the person has been arrested. Outside of that, we also have the Camera Connect program going on. Have you heard anything about the mayor and the chief of police? They just pushed out the new Camera Connect program. And if not, I'll briefly give you a description of it. What they're asking is that if people who are already have the Ring camera system or other camera systems that hook up to their house that's online, if you would sign up for the Camera Connect system, what will happen is if a crime occurs near your house or somewhere in vicinity of where your cameras are, the detectives will be able to tap into your feed, and it allows us, and they will work along with all the tools that we have with the real-time crime center that is now all up and running. And what will happen is it gives us just a better tool in our toolbox to be able to solve crime and to try to do things immediately and in real time. You're not required to do it. If you do it, you can opt out of it at any point in time. And before they use your camera footage or tap into your system, they would request permission from you to do so. So that is the win-win for that program. They also have a program for commercial businesses, but the commercial businesses, unlike someone's private residence, would be constantly online, and I don't think that they will have to necessarily get permission. There's something that they sign up front to be able to gather their information. And other than that, we still have the cops and clergies going on, where the third district commander, Commander Boatler, is very instrumental in that, where he does walks, and we have the community walks that happen in different areas of the third district weekly. And we're just trying to get geared up and rolled out for the summertime. Do you have any questions?
Yes.
I have just a real quick point of information just before Commissioner Power goes. You said there's the assault at 7-Eleven. You said 17th in Columbia. Is that 19th in
Yes,
Columbia?
17. I
Champlain.
thought the address said 1749 Columbia Road.
Okay, so yeah, that's the 1700 block of Columbia. That answers my question. Thanks.
Okay.
You mentioned that the alleged assailant was a homeless person. Do you know if that person has been released or is being held?
I don't know. If you send
How
me
do
an
we go?
email, if you
How do
send
we
me an
go about?
email, I'll find out.
Okay, I would appreciate it.
Okay.
1C08 at
I can't,
ANC.dc.gov.
I
Yeah,
can't write
you're
it
getting
down
your
now.
hair done.
I'm sorry. Can you write mine down and send me an email? And I promise I'll get back with you this time, because I'm on my way to work as soon as I leave here.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Give me yours.
Okay. It's LaShawn, LASHAUN .Lockerman at dc.gov.
LOCEKERMAN at
Yes,
DC.gov.
Lockerman. Yes.
Got it.
LOCKERMAN. That's it.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Appreciate it. No, thank you for your time, especially when you're
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
Work-related things.
All right. You all have a wonderful evening.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, and that concludes our agenda for this meeting. You have any other items related to
No.
this? Okay.
Nope.
So we'll be staying on the same link for the special meeting to discuss the budget letter. Hopefully, and plausibly a similarly brief meeting, but just because we announced it as a 7:30 meeting and the other commissioners are expecting 7:30, I'm just gonna put my camera off and mute and go have some water.
Okay. I'll
We'll be
see you
back.
at 7:30.
See you both soon. Hey, everybody. Good evening. Looks like we have almost everyone here. I think Jake's not going to be here, but I'll just wait a second to get everyone promoted. I think John might be Commissioner Jones, so worth promoting him. If it's not, sorry to the other John that will be demoted shortly thereafter. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we got a quorum. Say I'll start. This hopefully won't take too long, but if it does, that's okay. So this is special meeting, April 10th, 2024. Just one agenda item that, as we discussed last week, I guess we have one attendee tonight. We didn't really have enough time to give what we thought was a thorough discussion and, well, preparation for discussion because of really the mayor's tardiness in getting a proposed budget released. So here we are. I guess I'll just give my quick thoughts as an introduction to what the document is, to where it stands, and that might help shape our next moves. Actually, just a second. Sean, I think that the John might be Commissioner Jones. So I guess promote him. And if it's a different John, we'll apologize and put him back onto the attendee status. Or maybe we have to wait for him. So yeah, John, if that's you, Commissioner Jones. Okay, got it. Might have to hit accept. So yeah, with the one document we've technically been working on it for I guess a couple of months now, but in different ebbs and flows. I mean, it's a document really just with two main points or main sections, which is giving advice as we advise as a commission on what we think is important to spend money on in the coming fiscal year's budget, and then also some considerations for potentially informing discussions to develop better revenue flow for the city. It seems like there's kind of two different discussions that we've had in the past week or so, really a bit beyond that, which is one substantive of like specific points of what kinds of recommendations we want to make, really getting into like the weeds of tax policy and things like that. And then there's also the discussion of at what point is it too much work to put onto the backs of a commission? At what point are we doing a lot of analysis to where it'll just get dismissed anyway? So it might not be worth overthinking. I guess that's my view on two separate conversations, because we could spend an entire career discussing what the ideal tax structure is for the city, but I don't think that is entirely up to us at this moment. So that's my thoughts and kind of view on things. Any other commissioners have any thoughts or otherwise comments to make? Commissioner, I think we have Michael's and Horowitz. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I continue to think that we can and should lift up the great ideas developed by professionals here. If others want, I'm okay, because we are not ourselves experts and we could go round and round debating the finer points of tax policy. I would be okay taking out some of the specific ideas and just leaving it at we want progressive revenue to make up for cuts to social services and essential services, and leave maybe the finer points of what are essential services and what are the revenue sources, what defines progressive. Maybe leave that up to the activists to push the council, but then we're at least lending our voice to the concept. If that could get us to unanimous, then I would be I'd be supportive of that. If we can't get to unanimous, then my preference is still to lift up the work of others.
A couple quick points before I get to the other two of you. Just Robert's rules kind of thing that might be helpful so that we don't spend forever debating important but often very detailed points. One thing that I think is always important to note is that we don't necessarily have to pass anything unanimously as a commission. It's often better viewed, I guess, but if there's disagreement, that's okay. A majority is a majority. And also, if anyone has a suggestion for a specific edit that they'd like to see to the document, the way friendly amendments work, if you move a proposed amendment, and if no commissioner on the meeting opposes it, it's accepted as a friendly. So we can do that. And then also if there's any opposition, we can have votes on specific ideas, which is one way to avoid having someone, try to oppose the entire document, which who knows if that would be the case, which is an option, but if in the pursuit of consensus, that's how the rules are written. Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, so I think I'm just actually about to say what Commissioner Michelson Horowitz just said. I'm under the impression this is sort of, we're presenting this as sort of an overarching conceptual statement, right? Because we're not tax experts. We got the budget bit late. So we haven't had, time to necessarily look through all the ins and outs of the budget and so forth and the exact programs that will be cut or will be saved or whatever. So we're just sort of making a general in concept statement like that we don't support raising sales tax. We would rather raise revenue through raising income taxes or corporate taxes on the higher echelons, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? So we're voting on something that's more conceptual than specific, except for like, we had mentioned the circulator, we had mentioned some other things in terms of domestic violence and things like that. Right? Am I understanding that correctly? Because I did read through the whole letter, but I was thinking again, it was more again, like concept versus specifics, you know.
I think one way to answer that is, I mean, the document as it's currently written on the expenditure side is essentially, and we can always change it. Like we have to be general, we have to be specific. It's up to us, of course. But on the expenditure side, it's divided into three categories. And it's essentially the way I read it is saying here are one-time expenses that we think are important. Here are recurring expenses that we also think are important. Some of which are very specific to Adams Morgan, some of which affect Adams Morgan as well as other parts of DC or the whole district. And then on the revenue tax side, it's saying a bit of a mix, but mostly saying this is in general the principles that we think that should be considered. We could go into more detail if we want to. We could remove detail if we want to, but that's kind of up to us to discuss what's appropriate. Commissioners that helped draft that section, I guess Commissioner Van Wise not here. Michelson Horowitz, anything I missed there on the revenue side? All right, Commissioner Shapiro.
I think that Commissioner Horowitz's a comment about moving more toward just stating we are in favor of a progressive tax structure is appropriate. I really do. I think that trying to go through the individual tax things it would doom our effort at this point in time. I don't think either us or the CFO have done the work necessarily for some of these things. That's why there's a tax commission. It's unfortunate that the tax commission's work is, I believe it's late, as in a year late. That's unfortunate, but I think to propose some of the things we are doing without knowing the actual ramifications, without having the language that's necessary to make them to make them work is a fool's errand. I like Commissioner Michelson Horowitz's approach that we simply state we favor a progressive tax structure.
I mean, I'm open to that as well. I don't know if other commissioners are too. No motion on the floor, but if someone wants to move to make any amendments, that would be helpful. And then before, if anyone's going to do that, I mean, in my mind, at least, speaking for myself, it's like, on one hand, it's good to make sure that we support documents that make sense or that speak values that we can defend. On the other hand, I find it very unlikely that even if we had very detailed, nuanced tax opinions, that it would probably not be written into law just because it was passed by a commission. So I try to hone back my expectations a bit, but that's just me. But yeah, to the point at hand, any other commissioners have thoughts on that? Any suggestions here of what we could do to just, I guess the word would be simplify. There's a striked text, just really the bullet points being striked is, I think, what just done. Everyone all right with that? Any concerns with doing so? Which would just
Yeah, so I
what we've been doing.
I struck, I mean, this is a suggestion, so it's an amendment that I guess I would propose. But I do want to hear from others, especially Commissioner Dixon, since we worked together on this and drafted some of this language. But it would, add, a short line at the end of the penultimate paragraph, calling on it already says the rejection of the sales tax increase, and instead increase taxes on high value assets and high income individuals and corporations. And then striking the next paragraph that has specific ideas. So it's paring it back to a more general statement in support of a progressive rank revenue. But yeah, that would be the amendment.
Anyone got a problem with that? I don't.
I definitely don't have a problem with that. I think there's other language in the paragraph before that's marginal, but I don't think it's worth going into. I think, like I said, at some point in time, we are going to have to, as a city, I just don't believe the CFO's rosy picture in 2 years. I don't. I think we're in for and I hope I'm wrong. God knows I hope I'm wrong, but I think that things are going to get much worse in 2 or 3 years. So, but yeah, I would be in favor of striking all the stuff from "we believe" out and adding the tax increases on high value assets and high income individuals and corporations.
If no one else has any issue, that would be accepted as an amendment. Commissioner Jones, go ahead.
I don't have the document in front of me. I had a well of a time trying to get
Here,
in.
I'll link it
We got it right
in
here.
the chat. There you
All right.
go.
I say that because I read it, but I didn't see anything outstanding to be deleted. So I just want to check to be sure.
There's
Yeah.
one edit that was just made like a couple minutes ago. So you should see stricken out text that has a line through it.
Right. I also I want to note the comment from Commissioner Van Wy about the $215 million was it rainy day fund demand from the CFO. What do folks think about that? I mean, I personally think that it's an unreasonable and unnecessary demand. But I'm curious if others feel like we can speak on that.
Well, do we have any idea about what it has been in the past? Because I'm sure this is not the first time for a rainy day fund. I mean, is it above, below? Is it right on target what has been before? And let us assume that what has been before actually met rainy day expenditures.
I can try and answer that. Like, my understanding is that DC is unique in the sense that we have to maintain a balanced budget compared to a lot of other cities, but also that in the recent years we hadn't had as much as a difficulty having that reserve fund flush, and because of our budget crunch, we're in a bit of an anomaly in a year, which could potentially not be an anomaly for the next few years. So I think the answer to your question is that this is the first. I don't know like a specific number of years that it's. And do you know, Commissioner Shapiro?
Yeah, we've had a reserve fund for years. We drew down on it at the beginning of COVID, when the reserve fund is to guard against a situation where we might have to literally go to a high interest loan from an institution. Every jurisdiction in the country has a balanced budget. It's just how you define a balanced budget and where you can get revenue from that we're hamstringed. The only government that does not have a balanced budget is the national government. So,
I guess the question at the hand was essentially, have there been recent or past moments where DC was in a budget crunch for a budget year and there was a push to make sure that the reserve fund met an arbitrary level, which is not necessarily. Does anyone know the answer to that? Because I don't know any specifics on how long.
I think we'd have to go back to 2008 to get an answer.
Yeah, that's what
I don't know the answer offhand.
Does that help, Commissioner Jones?
We obviously, we just don't know if it's
I,
out of line or not. You know, I
yeah,
wouldn't want to say strike it if it was out of line. I mean, if it wasn't out of line.
Gotcha. Anything
yeah,
else?
yeah, I just linked in the chat a post from one of my favorite resources, the DC Fiscal Policy Institute, about the CFO's demand, and pointing out that our reserves are already mostly full. We have 51 days of operating expenses in reserves. That's $1.5 billion. And so basically, yeah, I guess the CFO is saying that if we don't replenish the last bit, then we're going to be our bond rating will be hurt. But DCFPI does not think that is the case, and ultimately we already have a $900 million shortfall for this coming fiscal year. So um, it seems like a lot of extra pain, and a lot of extra cuts unless they can make that up with revenue.
I guess my view, for whatever it's worth, is kind of to reiterate what Commissioner Shapiro is saying or asking is if there is utility, or someone was, I don't remember who this was, but if there's utility in us, or I guess it would be Commissioner Van Wy, right? His comment. If there's any utility in us as a commission putting some sort of opinion on if we think pushing for filling the reserve to an arbitrary level is a good thing or bad thing, it'd be kind of a symbolic move in my mind. And I'm indifferent, but I'm not sure if it's deserves the attention that the other things we've put energy toward got. So I'm not sure I have any preference with sticking something in or not.
Yeah. So in this case, Commissioner Laughlin in the comments talked about the DC already caved. My understanding is that the mayor couldn't transmit her budget without the CFO's certification that it's balanced, including those additional reserves. But the council can do what it wants. It could reject that plan. I think that it can become law without the CFO making such a certification. Is that, Commissioner
No,
Woodham, you're nodding?
he has to certify
Yes, certified.
he has to certify the mayor's submission to the council, and then he has to certify the council's amendments to the mayor's budget that it is a budget in balance.
It's a lot of power for a CFO who's appointed and unaccountable.
Any other comments, questions, commissioners, on that point or others?
Yeah,
I was just
I don't
commenting
go
on
ahead.
insider knowledge from a DC employee. That's all I heard.
Helpful, appreciate it.
That caving's happening on budget stuff.
Yeah, I guess I don't think that we need to comment on that super inside baseball. Hopefully the the council wants to make up the cuts, and if they had the power to override the CFO, they would.
I agree. Anyone else, any thoughts? We'll drop that then. All right. So I think
So
that
do we need to vote on the amendments that I made, or did you accept it?
I don't think, I mean, the way that it goes is if no one opposes it, it's accepted as a friendly. Like there's sometimes commissions, I think mistakenly will think that whoever the author is has to prove it as a friendly, but if any single person on the commission can oppose it, and it's no longer a friendly amendment, but it's accepted as a friendly if everyone's okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think it was.
Okay, I've accepted those edits, so we have a clean document.
It looks good to me. Any other questions, comments before I'll just move for us to vote on sending this letter? I guess one question would be just send it to all of council and maybe the mayor as well, or just all of council. Any thoughts from anyone? Send to the CFO with some cookies.
Send
Well,
cookies.
actually, no, there is, send it to the tax commission because of the amendment so that we're showing the tax commission clearly what our view of a tax structure should be.
I'm fine with that. Commissioner Stevens, were you about to say something? If not, it's okay.
No, I was actually just joking. Everything's good. No problem.
All right. Anything else? All right. Yeah, Commissioner, go ahead.
When, oh, looking over the list of requests, does anyone feel strongly about perhaps including something about rodent control, or do you not think that that rises to this level? Something's, it's something that we're focused on as an ANC.
Not
All right,
necessarily.
call.
I don't think, and I would only say because I don't have metrics in front of me of if we're doing better or worse than past years, or what the staffing is for DOH with rodent control. So mostly just because I don't have a strong argument of what we would add specifically for our ANC. But I don't know, I guess on Saturday we could ask their office, but that will be too late. But I don't have any strong feelings to add that, mostly because I don't know what the specific ask would be, and because I don't have any metrics of how they're doing and if there's additional supports they need.
Any other thoughts on that? Mine is, I mean, yeah, I want the rats gone, of course, but also like Commissioner Lofton is saying, I'm not sure how if it would like it's a bit not futile, but it might be strange to be like, hey, we need this where we might be a leader in this, well, a less of a trailer or less of a failure in the city if that's the case. So maybe, and also like the second point I was thinking is if we're trying to target things that investing in it now can save money in the medium to long term, not sure if rat controls consider that, could be, but is a bit more of an abstract argument in my mind.
Yeah.
Commissioner Jones, you had your hand up.
I wouldn't be opposed to it because we're in a neighborhood that has a whole bunch of restaurants. And some general language might be appropriate as opposed to drilling down to the specific rats. But I just think that, it would be reasonable only because of the concentration of restaurants in the neighborhood.
I do agree. We do opine on this and we're organizing things as well. But if you have any specific language anyone wants to include, we could consider it. And if not, we could. The rats unfortunately will not go away this budget season, I'm guessing. So
Well, Linda just said maybe I don't know if she was joking or not, but the rat czar, maybe like funding for a
Yeah,
specific individual or department that might focus on that, maybe.
yeah, and that could be something we think a lot about for the next. I just don't know what the structure of that would be and what office it would be out of, like maybe Department of Health, but like that is something that New York City did invest in.
Yeah, it's a very minor thing, but in the Adams Morgan infrastructure section, in the second bullet point, we have fund efforts to support street infrastructure needs and improvements in order to make outdoor dining and patronage a more permanent part of Adams Morgan. And I would propose adding just a comma, including through rodent abatement. The sub bullet is talking about commercial corridors, making the neighborhood as inviting to visitors. So it's feels like a nod to I think folks do see a lot of rats out on 18th Street, especially around the commercial corridor.
I think that's a good and simple way to get at it. I think that's a good amendment. I think that's a good addition.
I agree.
anyone not okay with that? I like it. That was clever. All right. Any other thoughts on this? All right. Well, I'm going to move that we send this out, this budget letter, get it to everybody on council and the tax office, and see if we can shape the future of DC's budget for the next fiscal year. Can I get a second?
Second,
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. All those in favor, please say aye.
aye. Oh,
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes 7-0. Commissioner Shapiro, are you about to say something?
I was debating whether to abstain or not.
Well, did
I
you already
know.
vote
I'm
yes?
sorry. It's. I think we're.
Did you
Nah,
vote
I'll
already?
go
If
ahead
not,
and vote yes. I'll vote yes.
7-0. Appreciate everyone coming for the special
Appreciate
meeting.
your bravery, Commissioner.
And thanks to Sean too for sticking